Good morning. Good morning. This is Amy with Coaches Go Social. I'm so glad that you're here today. I am really excited for this show because I have a guest that is really after my own heart. And if you're an entrepreneur, this is probably one of the most important things you're ever going to learn is how to manage your time, because you started your business. I'm going to guess you started your business because you had this awesome idea. You thought, oh, I can really help people because I thought of this great way, this great system, this great process that will help my clients further their life, further their business, everything, their career. And then you had success with that, right? You're an entrepreneur, you had success with that. And then you thought of another idea, and then another idea, and another idea. And so how do you keep all those ideas in check and not get yourself off track? Well, the guest I invited today, Minette, you're going to meet her in just a minute. She is a very experienced creative, an artist, and she helps other creatives stay in their zone of genius in that creative and also help them manage their time so they can create a business that's sustainable and stay on track. So save all your questions for her when she comes on here in just a moment. And we're going to have this discussion for the next 30 minutes on how we can leverage those ideas to stay connected and stay focused on our goal, but also not feel like we have to push them to the side. Like we can still incorporate those ideas and still feel creative while we are focused on our business. So I'm super excited. You know that I believe that entrepreneurship is the ultimate journey in personal development. And it's not to say that this is the most important. There are so many different things along the journey of entrepreneurship, but if you can't manage your time, you're going to have a hard time managing all the different aspects of running a business, of, getting to the point where you want to delegate. There are so many things involved in making or creating a business and a sustainable business. So it's going to be a good show. So Patty's here. Hey, Patty. Hey, Sherry. So glad that you're here. You guys are going to get so much out of this. I'm so super excited to introduce you to Minette in just a second. And after the show, so we're going to go for 30 minutes. And after the show, we're going to do our own little mini networking session in a Facebook Messenger chat room. And I'll add that link here in just a moment for you guys to hang on. We'll add it at the end so you can hop from our live show and actually chat with us in person. And I love to see your faces and I love to continue the conversation there for a few minutes. So we'll look forward to that. So hang on. I'm going to show my little intro video. Of course, Coaches Go Social is sponsored by Wave.video. And that's how I created this intro video and all the little video clips that I use throughout my business and repurposing the content for my show. And that you'll see in just a moment. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on and we'll see you on the other side. And here she is. Hello.
Good morning.
How are you? Long time no see.
I'm so good. Yeah, I know, right? I'm so happy to be here. And I loved that intro, and it was fun to see some familiar faces in your interviews going through there. That was super cool.
Yeah, I get you all pumped up. I know I love watching my guests watch the video too. They're always like dancing. It's like it's fun little energy. Totally yeah, exactly. I'm so glad to have you here because, this is something this topic is near and dear to every entrepreneur. Like, there's always so many ideas and not enough time. And how do we feel like we're still being able to give attention to those ideas, but also stay on track? So I would love to hear from the audience and our viewers here what's your biggest challenges with our time management, because we definitely want to get to all your questions. And again, at the end of the show, be able to see your bright smiley faces in our chat room afterwards. Minette and I will go. I'll make sure I pronounce your name right. I'm really bad at pronouncing names. I'm sorry if I say it wrong.
It's all good.
My fault. So thank you. I'm so glad that you're here. So actually, just so everyone knows, I was introduced to Minette through Winnie Anderson, who was my guest towards the beginning of this year, I think in January. Yeah, she was on recently, and she shared with us how to know what to focus on, right? So kind of like that strategy aspect of it. And I believe there's going to be a little bit of overlap from what you have to say, and I think that's a really good thing, because, and you might as well, because that'll kind of drive the point home that we need to have strategy in order to, of course, know what direction that we're going. So long story short, thank you so much for being here. And I just want to give you a second to introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, just thank you so much for having me on the show. And what I love about these opportunities is getting to network and connect with amazing business leaders like you. So thank you for the opportunity to be here. So I have been in business for, I think this is my 19th year in business. So I've been in business for a long time. I've had multiple businesses. But the through lines of all of those have been so many, and Patty, I love it, so many ideas. But the through line of that is definitely too many ideas. And so I'm happy to talk about how I've learned how to manage those ideas and not let them overwhelm me and get too excited about them in the moment. And for 11 years, I owned a publishing company. I had a parenting magazine based in the Dallas, Texas area that I grew from a tiny quarterly publication to a monthly newspaper where we were circulating 50,000 copies a month around the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. And it was all about time. Man, I was like probably on the edge of burnout more than I knew because it was such a deadline-driven business. So I sold that, moved to California, started my coaching business, and I had no one telling me when things were due anymore. And it was like this moment of total crisis when there wasn't this external commitment to say, like, you need to get this done now. And I never missed a deadline once in 11 years of publishing. I never missed a print deadline. I spent a lot of time trying to gather all the information from my advertisers and my contributors. And when I started my own business, I struggled for a while. So this is a problem that I personally worked through. And for the last 9 years, I've worked almost exclusively with other creatives building business. So coaches, artists, designers, any kind of creative you can imagine. Every entrepreneur is creative, by the way. It's a topic for another day. We're all creative. We're using our creativity every day in our business. But I loved what you said, Amy, in the introduction about entrepreneurship being a personal development journey, because I don't think anything has ever offered me the opportunity for growth, except for maybe parenting. That's another one. But being in business, I have been forced to hit so many walls, so many limiting beliefs, and so many stories. And one of them was the story about time and how I felt about time, in this sense that I don't have enough time. And this constant sort of very masculine energy of push and hustle. And it's taking me years to dismantle my own perspectives on I don't need to push so hard. And one of my favorite mantras that has gotten me through the last couple of years is the more I play, the more money I make. So building in more play and more time off in my calendar has actually increased my productivity, my profitability, and definitely my own pursuit of happiness.
That's so good. And that's actually not the first time I've heard that, which is another good reason to make sure that that's being utilized, because it's so important. Is, you know, the more fun I have, the more money I make, kind of thing. Yes. Well, it's true. You give your brain a break. You give yourself something else fun to focus on. That's why I'm always taking my son to do different adventures and things. I want to go do some fun. Because it's all about
you. It's not really about him, right?
No, I'm like, we got to do something that I want to do. Exactly. The adventures for him, but they're got to be fun for me. And that is definitely so true when you're an entrepreneur. Yeah. So what kind of fun adventures have you been on lately?
Well,
as much as we can be.
Pandemic, not as many as I would like, but 2 weeks ago, 4 girlfriends came from, hi kiddo, came from around the country. Hi. I love visitors. Hi. What's his name?
Tyler.
Hi, Tyler. So nice to see you today. So I had 4 girlfriends come from around the country. We all got COVID tests. We said we just need some connection time. And they came to my house for art camp for 4 days of glorious gardens and beach walks. I live in Santa Barbara, California. So we visited some beautiful gardens, beach walks, and we spent a lot of time painting in my backyard and at the beach. So that was probably the most fun I've had right here in my own backyard lately.
That is super fun. Everyone's saying hi to you, and they're also probably wondering why you're not doing your homework right now.
It's because I need help.
Okay, I'll help you in just a few minutes after I get done talking with my friends, okay? Thank you.
I'm going to do some free
Okay, sounds good. All right. Sorry about that. Yes,
Please don't apologize. I grew my business and my kids together 20 years ago. So I am so familiar. Can I tell a funny story about doing business with my kids?
Yes.
So time management was hard. My husband worked full time. I had one that was old enough to be in kind of a parent's day out. But I would take Maggie, my littlest one, who at the time was maybe 1, everywhere. And her favorite outfit was her red cowboy boots and her pink tutu. And I met somebody at a Starbucks with Maggie in tow. And at one point I looked over and Maggie was, kind of in the periphery, and I'm deep in conversation with this potential advertiser in my business. Thank goodness it was a parenting magazine. But I look over and Maggie's literally standing on top of a table in Starbucks with her dress over her head and her cowboys and dancing on top of the table. And she's been dancing through life ever since. But it is possible to do business with kids.
So. It is. We've made it this far, that's for sure. He's just turned 7, and it just gets more and more interesting for sure.
It does.
But finding those adventures and I know time management, you mentioned, as a parent and, as an entrepreneur and that journey, that time management has a lot of different meanings and a lot of different definitions. So maybe we can start with what's the main, maybe textbook definition.
Yeah.
And figure that out from there.
For sure. And it's kind of dry, but the dictionary definition of time management is the predictable control an individual can exercise over a series of events. And what I love about that definition is it's such a powerful reminder that we have 100% control over our own schedule as entrepreneurs. So sometimes there's external deadlines where things are due, but for the most part, and I need this reminder, Amy, over and over again, I'm in control of my time. I get to decide when I work, how much time I take off. Right. So much of that is about just remembering that we are at choice every day with how much we fill our calendar. One of the biggest mistakes that I've made in the last 9 years with my coaching and creative mentoring is that I overfill my calendar with people. I work from home. It gets lonely. I'm a super extrovert. I'm really an ambivert, but I love people. Yes. And so I overfill my calendar with people because I need that connection. And I've learned that one of my best secrets is to write yourself into your calendar first and to make sure that you put blocks of time in your calendar for your own creative projects. And they're the ones that are really going to move your business forward, whether that's creating a new lead magnet or working with Amy to get your videos going. But it really is about that customization of your own systems in a way that aligns with your lifestyle. So I think another place that I love to start with people when talking about time management is that time management has to start with your why. Like every other business strategy, life strategy, Simon Sinek fan and advocate out there, Start With Why is still one of the best business books to start with. Because it's so essential to get clear about why you're doing what you're doing, because that why helps you get clear about what needs to be on your calendar now and what can be pushed off a little bit and what is it that you're working towards. What I love about the why is that it helps us as a great tool for discernment of what really matters. So when you have one of those bright, shiny ideas, you can go plant the seed of that idea in an Evernote or a Google Doc or a journal for later so that you don't lose the idea. You still hold the idea. But entrepreneurs, one of the things they struggle with is every time we have a great idea, we want to implement it right away. And then all of a sudden, we're trying to implement 50 things at once. And that's what makes this crazy. Rather than looking at what our highest priorities are, especially those money-making activities, and really asking ourselves, what's going to move me forward right now? Is it this idea, or is it okay to just go plant the seed? Because when you just go plant the seed, it works like magic. It gets nurtured. Like I have an idea I've had for 7 or 8 years that feeling like its time is just now coming to fruition. Like I found a person that I can partner with on it so I don't have to do it by myself, right? Like all kinds of things, 7 or 8 years, but I just planted the idea. I didn't need to implement in the moment because it would have taken me off track from my particular focus in the moment. Does that make sense?
Oh yeah. So what you're saying, it sounds like, is more about how to kind of train your mindset to have those ideas, but also know that they don't all have to be implemented at once. I think that's probably key, right?
Yeah, that is the key. And having a specific place where you put, like, have a big dream book or whatever digital tool you love. Like I'm a huge fan of Notability on my iPad with my Apple Pencil, or Google Keep is another great one. But wherever you gather information, have a particular place where new ideas get planted so you don't lose them. There's a great part in Elizabeth Gilbert's book, Big Magic, where she shares this really magical story about two people kind of getting the same download for a book idea, and the other person wrote it, Elizabeth didn't. So it's like a lot of times these ideas are sort of circling in the ethers, and we need to welcome them in, because the more you welcome the ideas in and plant them, they take root and you continue to sprout ideas going on. Dream boards are great as well. Yes, a great place to plant those ideas. But I think it's always remembering that you have choice for when to implement. And the implementation of a particular idea has to be connected to your overall strategic plan for your business. So I'm a big fan of, how do I manage my time today? What should I be focusing on? Being intimately related to what are my overall goals, dreams, and intentions for the coming quarter and year. I'm a big fan of the 90-day plan too. I think that changed everything for me when I started doing quarterly planning.
Ooh, that's good. That's good. Yeah, I'm just getting back into my monthly kind of review and analytics, because that can fly by in a heartbeat. You're like, okay, I'm going to review the end of the month, and then you let a couple of days go by. It's already the middle of the month. Oh, I'll just wait until next month. But
that's one of those things. You've got to plant the seed in make a date with yourself in your calendar on the 31st of the month to go check your analytics, right? It has it's like financial dates. I share all the time, maybe sex is the thing that needs to get scheduled on the calendar, because it's not happening in your family. When you have young kids, especially, and you're busy, and right now they're home all the time, like, what are the things that keep you nourished and nurtured that you're not putting on your calendar? Or what are the things that make you money that you're not getting on your calendar because you're not being really specific and intentional with creating a calendar that actually aligns with the business that you say that you want?
That's so true. I'm thinking about my calendar and you, Patty, let me know, Mary, let me know what your calendar looks like. But mine looks like a whole bunch of things that I have to do.
Yes.
not anything that's going to be, filling my cup up. So, not very often, or not as much as it should be. So it's a really good reminder is to block out that time. Yeah. So you mentioned to-do lists and, or lists, but not necessarily to-do lists. Are those something that we should have, or we should scrap, or what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, thank you. This is one of my favorite questions. To-do lists, in the style in which most of them have been created, are totally worthless and overwhelming. They actually increase overwhelm. They don't create calm because they're chaotic. So what I recommend is once a week, or when you get better at it, even once a month, that you do a massive brain dump of everything that's in your head. And I love doing this on big sheets of paper, a whiteboard, colorful markers, make it fun, visual, add doodles. The more play and color you add to your time management planning, the more fun you'll have. The more fun you have, the more likely you're to do it. Get everything out of your head onto a giant piece of paper or whiteboard where you can see it. Step one. Step two, separate personal from business. Separate personal from business. How many of you have a to-do list right now that has do laundry and grocery shopping on the same to-do list with make follow-up sales calls or do my Facebook Live today to promote my launch, right? Like we mix things up. And then what happens is we do the easy things first. So maybe we spend an hour doing laundry instead of doing a script for our Facebook Live. So it's really important that you treat your business like a business and that you schedule time for business tasks separate. Now, I'm not saying don't do laundry in the middle of the day. Sometimes that can be a great break. My favorite thing to do is take a mid-afternoon break and do the dishes that have piled up from throughout the day. It makes my hands nice and warm. It's very calming. I have a beautiful view out my kitchen window, but I treat it like a moment of mindfulness rather than a to-do on my to-do list. So prioritizing and structuring your to-do list, separate personal and business. And then on the business side of things, the biggest aha that I have seen for my creative clients around time management is that people put projects, not tasks, on their to-do list. So for a great example is that maybe you want to do like Amy and you want to start an awesome Facebook Live series. Well, that is a project that could take anywhere from a month to 3 to 6 months to get going. So a to-do list should be focused on bite-sized tasks that can be done in a short period of time. So looking at your list currently, like one of the things, and I laugh at myself all the time, Amy, because I do this over and over again. I was looking at my own to-do list recently, and I'm like, these are projects, Minette. Like I have a new lead magnet on loving your inner critic that I want to get out into the public. And I've done all the creative part, the workbook, the video, all done. But there's all these other steps that need to happen to get the opt-in page and the welcome emails. So all of those things are individual tasks. If I just put get lead magnet done on my list, I'm in instant overwhelm because I don't know where to start. So, but if I break that down into create the workbook, create the video, create the opt-in page and the thank you page, create the follow-up sequence, I can start to chunk it down into bite-sized manageable tasks that eliminate overwhelm and they nip procrastination in the bud. Projects create procrastination when they're not broken down into bite-sized tasks. So this is super geek practical stuff, but I promise you, if you're willing to do the work, to put in a little bit of this extra time around your planning, and I have some great quotes here about planning, it will save you a ton of time. So I think it was Brian Tracy said that 10 to 12 minutes invested in planning your day saves you 2 hours of effort. 10 minutes of planning saves you 2 hours of effort because you know exactly what you're focused on. 1 hour of planning will save you 10 hours of doing. 1 hour of planning will save you 10 hours of doing. So those are proven statistics about time management that really have everything to do with strategy and planning more than actually managing your time. So this all then comes back to what am I choosing to focus on right now in the moment that's going to move me forward personally and professionally. So how many of you talk about doing more exercise, but then it gets to the end of the week and you haven't gone outside for a walk or picked up the weights that are sitting right by your desk? So many of us talk about the things that we want to do, but we don't actually commit to that. Plan it in my calendar. Everything can get planned in your calendar until it becomes a habit. Once it becomes a habit, then you can have a different relationship with that activity. But first, we have to start by making that daily commitment. And it is amazing how your productivity will increase, your procrastination will increase, and you'll find so much more time in your calendar that you won't know what to do with yourself. So, and you'll have more time to implement some of those bright, shiny ideas that are in your heart on a daily basis. Patty, I love that guilty. We're all guilty. I'm still guilty of this. And I've been teaching this stuff for decades, right? And I still have these same challenges and struggles. Like I'm looking at my calendar for the rest of March going, what have I done? Where's my time? And so just noticing that if I forget, and I do it usually in 2-week increments, I put myself in my calendar first. I don't like to start work too early in the morning. Mornings are my most creative time. For other people, it's afternoon or evening. But put your most creative time into the calendar first so that you're using that for the best of your own work.
I love that. There's so many good things. And I know you might think this is, things that we already know, but I know there was a couple of big aha moments that I've had. I know Patty has as well. This is really, really good information. Yes, relationship with that activity and implementing it. Exactly. So as we wrap up, I know you kind of shared the tools, your favorite tools and things. Can you kind of summarize what your favorite ones are?
Sure. So time blocking, planning is my favorite tool. I love planning. Second one would be time blocking, putting myself into my calendar and making time for what matters most in my life and in my business. Then managing your to-do list with the brain dump. And then the final one that I'll share very quickly is to create what I call your daily big six, would be the fourth one. And what I mean by that is you only put 6 things on your to-do list every day that are going to move you forward. It doesn't mean you don't get other things done. It means that you commit to the 6 that are most important to move your business and your life forward. And that could be a combination of personal and business tasks, but 6 tasks that are going to move you forward. And you commit to doing them before you go to bed at night. This one shift is what has created the most massive momentum for clients that I work with over and over again. By minimizing what you do, you maximize productivity every single time. Works like magic. And it's like this huge relief to be able to check off those 6 things and not the 600 that are on my big, massive brain dump.
Oh, yes. And getting it out of your head is so, so valuable, right? Because free up all that space. Yeah. Think about the things that you really need to focus on. That's so good. 6 things. Exactly. Cool. And then last but not least, Patty, hang out with us in the chat room afterwards. We're about to wrap up. She's like, it's not over already, is it? Yes. But we're going to chat for a few minutes over in video chat here in just a second. But your Fierce Focus quiz, tell us a little bit about that so we can learn how that'll benefit us.
Yeah, so I on Teachable have a course called Fierce Focus. It's a 6-week course that walks you in depth through everything we talked about today. But it starts with a super fun and insightful quiz called Your Unique Productivity Style that helps you understand why you struggle with time management because you're trying to fit into someone else's system. And for today or anyone that's watching this video, that the preview and the quiz are free today to go be able to check that out and discover what is your unique productivity style. Because once you know that, or what your sort of magic rainbow blend of styles is, it gives you the opportunity to take a really honest look at how you're managing your time and see if it's aligned with who you're being in the world. Because if our being and our doing aren't aligned, it creates a lot of friction, distress, and overwhelm. So we want to make sure that we're creating a beautiful blend of who we're being and align that with what it is that we're doing so that we can increase our productivity and our fulfillment in life.
I love it. So good. Thank you so much for spending the time to share all your valuable tidbits and advice and your free quiz inside your course. Definitely going to check that out. So thank you so much. And yes, definitely there are so many good things. I'm gonna have to go back and watch this again. Watch it, take more notes. This is really eye-opening. So thanks again, Minette, for sharing all that in your time. And we'll see you in a second. We'll say goodbye for now. In 2 weeks, we'll see you with my friend Alex at Be Organizing. She's going to talk to us about digital organizing and how we can get rid of the clutter and overwhelm in our computers.
I'll be back for that one.
Right? It's like this invisible area. We think we can hide it all into the computer. You open it up and you're like, whoa,
can't find anything.
Exactly. So we're going to talk about that in a couple weeks, but we'll see you over there in our video chat. Get the link here at the bottom of the comments, and we'll see you over there. See you next time.
Bye. Hi, Tyler.
He's back.